Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So let's do a 420. I haven't did a 420 probably in several days. I have several stories to do tonight, so this is kind of like having your dessert before peas. But so what? Let's do it. Fuck it. I am God of the space. I can do whatever I want. Now, in this particular case, I have an interesting one that I absolutely love and I've loved for like 10 years now because I've heard this lyric for a very long time. It's a rap lyric. So it's a guy, Canibus. It's pronounced can I bust. Not pot. It's just spelled that way. But let me put it this way. This is going to be an amazing compliment, but I think it's warranted. The first time I heard James Baldwin, I think he was having a debate with William F. Buckley. They were in like Oxford or something. And in having this debate, Baldwin started his speech. The question was the American dream gotten at the expense of the Negro? Because keep in mind, this is in the 60s. They threw Negro around like it was just normal. Baldwin's speech, he started off and I'm like, I don't know what this man is saying. And by the time he's gotten to the end, there are lights that are going off in your head as you're listening to the speech. It just blows you away. Like it's one of those things of, this man is the most inventive and creative speaker that I've ever come across in my life. And I'm blown away by it. That's how I felt about Baldwin. That's how I feel about Baldwin. Canibus is not necessarily in the same sandbox as Baldwin. But if you're talking about the ability to put things together in a way that are mind-blowing. Like, and they're mind-blowing as you think through the context of what he's saying, like, if that makes sense. And yes, I know you can make this point of, well, dude, it's just a person saying something. They're giving you this concept. So what? Playing concepts all the time. Our world is made of concepts. What's a circle? What's a square? Show me one. How can you tell that that particular one is the actual one that's a square? That's a model in your head of it. It's not necessarily, there is no such thing as a perfect square. A square is just a conception of that at that point. Many of the things that we interact with in our daily basis is just concepts. I like playing with those concepts. When you're watching a movie, you're playing within somebody's other imagination. When you're reading a book, you're playing in somebody's imagination. There's no difference in listening to a song or listening to this guy craft just immaculate lyrics. There's no difference. And what's wild about it, it's done in this way that's braggadocious, which I love. I get a sick thrill out of it. I'm a guy. I grew up playing chess barbershop. It's done in this braggadocious way. And yet, this understanding that there are limitations in sense of being a human being. Now, that's rare. Because understand, most rap, at least a lot of rap I would come across, had nothing to do with this level of just brazen intellect. Like, I've had friends who would say, that sounds great, but I don't know what the hell he's saying. Because for the most part, you had to think about it. Now, the beauty of this is, and I'm going to get to the song, but I actually love this guy. Like, meaning his music. As you get through the song, you get these ideas and concepts. And for me, I had this kind of growth path that I felt was similar to his. He's a few years older than I am. But as he would say something, it was like, oh, I've already come across that particular concept. I know what he's talking about. And another, and another, and another. So even though I have no idea who this person is, it gives you some idea. Like, if the stuff he's saying for the most part is coming out of him, then that stuff is in him. Otherwise, it wouldn't come out of him. Now, however he's expressing it, for the most part, those are concepts. Those are things that he's come across. Those are things that he's thought about. And the fact that I have also thought about those things. And I've also felt similar ways about those things. Even if I didn't necessarily disagree with them, at the very least, we're in the same conceptual point to even have that disagreement in the first place. So I was fascinated by the work. One particular song, Poet Laureate. And I'm not going to do the whole song. It's going to be the first lyric of the song because I kind of want you to think about it, particularly in the sense of concepts in the world around us. And not just the world around us. Us. Our vision of ourselves. Who we are. What are we here for? Do we have a reason to be here for in the first place? How do you define what you are? Because ultimately, how you define what you offer somewhat is going to affect your reality. It's going to give you a particular reality box. Now, the lyric starts off as, I procure a small piece of the treasure collected from a former era dated back to forever. The warrior became protector. Now, it's better when he says it, but I don't want to say it because they're going to demonetize the video if I show it. But I'm going to say it slowly because I kind of want to walk through it. He procured a small piece of the treasure collected from a former era dating back to forever. The warrior became protector. It's the last line that's the most epic. Now, if you just listen to the song, you might completely bypass this. Just go on to the next thing. But this is some heavy shit that he's saying. I know I'm slightly wowing out of this. But it's just an awesome line. So, he procured a small piece of the treasure. Okay, we don't know who he is, but he is given some kind of definition just in the fact of what he is doing. In the same way, a circle doesn't necessarily have any particular shape that defines this particular thing. A circle is just a concept. He, meaning a guy, is the same way. This particular person, you have a concept of what a human being is. You don't need him to be described. It's just a person. You fill in whatever you want to fill in that particular thought. He procured a small piece of the treasure collected from a former era. As he went to that particular dresser, he opens it, he sees something. It's a piece of treasure. Now, it's old, it's ancient in some way. And in some way, he's ascribing value to this thing. So, you're getting a story. Like, it's an amazing thing in the sense of, that line is only like 4 lines, but you're getting this concept of an individual going through a particular thing. You have no idea what else is going on, but you at the very least, you know, somebody found something of value. Now, it's the last line that makes it work. That makes all that other stuff just fucking awesome. He procures a small piece of the treasure, collection from a former era, dating back to forever. The warrior became protector. You had this guy. The guy was just defined for you. Meaning, the guy who walked in was a warrior. Now, the fact that he was a warrior means you can put your own subjective meaning to it, but to me, he fought. He was in the military of sorts. He just was a guy. He was a guy who was, for the most part, somewhat of a brute. But in the moment that he found that thing of value, he became a protector. So this guy that was a brute, that was essentially a muscle for hire, didn't necessarily have a purpose, didn't necessarily have a meaning. He was just a warrior. He was a class of individual. All of a sudden, finding that thing of value, that guy became a protector. Now, there's a leap that just took place. There's a massive leap that just took place. And in this sense of this guy who was somewhat aimless and who had no purpose in that sense. Yes, he was a warrior, but there's no aim to a warrior. It just is. It's like a noun. He became a protector. That's a verb in some way. He was given purpose. Whatever he found, we know he found something. We know it had value, but that guy was given purpose. And in that moment, how he saw himself, his conception of himself, I am a warrior. And in that moment, he became a protector. I have a purpose. I have a thing that I need to do. I need to protect this thing of value. Now, we're assuming that it's like a trinket or something. That could be a person, for all we know. I mean, that could be just an allegory for something else. And to be honest, calling it a trinket, or whatever you want to call it, it devalues it, because that's not the point. Like, yes, certainly, the person in this particular context believes this thing is a massive value, whatever that thing is. But from our standpoint, the fact that the writer, Canibus, doesn't tell you what it is. I mean, he tells you what it is, but for the most part, he doesn't emphasize it. He keeps it as a trinket. Meaning, even if it's a person, even if it's something else, whatever it is, it's devalued. So you have this juxtaposition of, to this person in this particular context, you are essentially a god looking at a particular reality of that sort. So you see everything within that particular reality. From your context, this thing is, well, this thing is not important. The guy is important. This guy went through a transition, a massive transition from becoming this aimless warrior to this protector of a particular thing. He was given purpose. I would argue purpose is an amazing thing. Think about it. What is your purpose? What is your purpose? I know some people who believe in Jesus and all that like to, come up with these things, but understand, part of the reason they're coming up with that stuff is because they need to know. They're not okay with the ambiguity. Meaning in their mind, they need to know that they're a part of something, that they have purpose. We're here to serve some sky god. I would make the point that all of us, for the most part, to some degree, is looking for a purpose. Now, it's a strange thing to believe that for the most part you're just here to do whatever you want to do. Now, I think that's true. See, I don't think that's true, but I have no evidence for that, so I can't necessarily make that argument per se. It's more of just a personal belief based on my own experiences. But from a corporeal level, from this level, human level, yes, let's say that's true, because we have nothing else to tell us it's not. You have choice. You're a being of choice. You can do whatever you want to do. Now, here's the rub. You cannot do everything you want to do. You're not structured in that way. Like, I can make an argument that whether there's a God or not, at the very least, your purpose is defined by you, but not fully by you. You're constrained, meaning how your biology forms, how your cognitive functions form, how the chemicals are released when you're encountering particular experiences, your experiences themselves, the people you bump into, the things that hurt you, the things that you love, the things that put stress on you, the people who interact with you. Those things shape who you are. To some degree, you are always in this situation of bumping into other people's realities and other realities in general. And bumping into those realities, those things, chip. It's like a sculpture of sorts. The point I'm making is, those things constrain who you are. You yourself are not necessarily an individual with free will. So in being a constraint on who you are, even if you're just talking about from the standpoint of biology, you may not be as smart as someone else in a particular field. You may not have a brain that works well with math. You may not have an eye that works well with beauty. I am horrible at putting together sites, like websites. If I was trying to do image of sorts. But I can build pretty much anything. It's just how your brain works. When I'm interacting with somebody, I am, analyzing the stuff that they're doing. Not intentionally, it's just the way I am. When somebody's giving me a story, I am literally going through the story almost simultaneously. It's just where my brain works. Trying to understand the people's motives in those particular things. Why they're doing it. What was their motivation? Was there an incentive for them to do something else? It's just where my brain works. But not everybody's brain works that way. The point I'm making is, those things are constraints. Those things are constraints. Bob is not going to be a porn star if Bob has a screaming 2-inch ding dong, if you know what I mean. Like, there's certain constraints on us. You don't have free will in the sense that you can do whatever you want. Now, there's a catch. You, to some degree, still have a certain amount of how much do you want it. Like, how much do you want it directly influences the other aspects of reality. So yes, there are constraints on you, but to some degree, choice does allow you to push through some of those constraints to certain degrees. So yeah, Spud Webb can get into the NBA and Spud Webb can dunk, but how many Spud Webbs are there? That's kind of my point. It's like, there's some people who can buck that trend just from their sheer, Batman level of, oh, God damn it, I'm going to do it. But most people don't function that way. Most people have these things, these constraints, or whatever else, and those constraints, for the most part, guide them in a particular direction. They deal with the sandbox to which they end up in. So yeah, those are constraints. So you can make the argument that, no, there may not necessarily be a God above, but yes, at the very least, your biology is going to put tethers on you in regards to what you can do. Meaning, either way, you're going to groove down a particular pattern. Is there a difference between you choosing a life and the life choosing you? Is there a difference? You as a person are along for the ride of sorts. Yes, your conscience is in it. Yes, you're making decisions, but you are going in a particular groove. Time is not stopping for you. You're just ticks on. Just goes. Doesn't stop. So it's like, yes, I can choose to some degree what I want to be, but what I'm choosing is a decision space that's limited by my faculties. Going down a groove. If that makes sense. I hope you get what I mean when I'm saying going down a groove. It's like if somebody chose a life and they go down a particular life path. I'm saying that those constraints, for the most part, gives a certain life path. You don't need a God above for it. At that point, the biology itself is pushing people in a particular way. All of this is from the lyric of that particular song. Like, this is kind of what I mean when I'm saying I'm getting at there's a certain level of density to the stuff that he does where you're like, wow, that's mind-blowing. That's fucking awesome to think about. What is my purpose? This particular guy was purposeless. He was aimless. He was a brute. That brute found something that touched him to the degree where he instantly, or whatever period of time that took place, understood that he was going to be something better than what he was. He was going to be a protector. It's amazing. And I'm not talking about protector in the sense of being this, aggressive brute like the United States, and we're a protector and you're just going murdering people abroad. I'm not talking about bullshit. I'm talking about an actual protector. If you want to give a face on it, think of a samurai who's, decided that I'm going to give my life to this particular thing. And I'm going to be killed before I let anything happen to you. That's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. It doesn't necessarily have to be a samurai. I'm just saying that level of devotion that took place from this guy who didn't have any particular purpose and all of a sudden had a purpose. Yeah. I love the song. I mean, and the funny part is, I went looking for that particular song because I wanted to put it in the box. There are like 30 versions of it. He's made this fucking song over and over and over and over again. Like it's an amazing song, and all the versions are fucking amazing. And some of the stuff he says is off the fucking wall. Like I think he had one lyric where he said, he was captured by aliens, and they left him naked, and all this other stuff, just out there stuff. But at the same token, as you're listening to it, you're also getting these amazing things. There's one song where he gives you the perspective, I think it's of a soldier, of a fireman, and it's one other one, and all of the people are about to die. It's literally the moment before each of those people die, and the lyrics themselves are eccentric, explaining this thing of the perspective of an individual. And even in the way he's saying the rhymes themselves, it's getting across a certain gruffness that's in that particular soldier, the dedication in a soldier to get that particular mission accomplished. That soldier died in that mission. The fireman who goes in trying to save somebody's life and dies in that particular case. Even one in the original one where he gets into a cab and again ends up dying. Each of these cases, the individual is telling their particular story about what's going on up until the point in which they take an L. It's fucking amazing. It's fucking amazing. I love that artist. My friend Jalil, he used to joke me for it. He was like, dude, he was like, I don't understand what the fuck he's saying. And I would explain it. Because at that point, the explanation to me is just fucking awesome. And he's like, it's too much. He's like, it's too intense. It's not intense. The songs are amazing. It's just amazing. Not, nobody's perfect. There are going to be some albums that aren't great, but Rip the Jackers, amazing album. But there's multiple albums. I would say look up Poet Laureate. Go on YouTube, Poet Laureate, and you can see all the different versions of the song. It is amazing. It is amazing. All right, I'll leave it at that. All right, guys, if you enjoyed the content, feel free to share, like, subscribe, and you can always support the work through Patreon. Thank you.